The COYGIG Pod on OTB Sports, in association with Cadbury. A player and a half deserves a glass and a half of support.
Top pocket goal!
It's what dreams are made of.
They are going to the World Cup Finals!
Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the COYGIG podcast. I am Kathleen McNamee, and normally we would be joined by former Irish international and female player, officially signed on board for a new WNL season, Karen Duggan. But as she is off sunning herself in the lovely Barbados, we called in for a bit of reinforcements. So do not fear, instead we have two legendary Emmas to keep us company. Former Ireland and Arsenal goalkeeper Emma Byrne is here to keep you entertained as always, while resident Team of the Week expert Emma Carroll also joins us after a week where, shall we say, that women's football was very much in the public eye for all the fun things happening off the pitch. And I don't mean that in like a dirty, scandalous way, in a very wholesome, like team on the Late Toy Show and Jill Scott winning I'm a Celebrity. How are you both doing?
Really good. Very good. It's a Monday, so, you know, whatever, getting there.
And Emma Carroll, am I wrong in saying that I saw that you were up last night past your normal very early bedtime just to see Jill Scott when I'm a Celebrity? For anyone who doesn't know, Emma Carroll starts her days, well, her actual official shift starts at 6 o'clock in the morning, which means her actual day starts a bit earlier than that. So she is very good, unlike me, and actually goes to bed early. But I saw you tweeting and it was later than 9 o'clock.
It was very late. It was way past my bedtime. Yeah, I had to stay up to see Jill Scott be crowned Queen of the Jungle. At one point, if I thought that Matt Hancock was going to be through to the final too, I was switching off and going straight to bed because, like, how ridiculous. But no, ultimate Queen, just a brilliant 3 weeks. Highlighted everything. It's great to get more players, just people knowing them and knowing them for being people as well. It's great. It was a great 3 weeks, and I had like family members going, "Oh yeah, Jill, she's the winner, isn't she?" Like, and this is like day 2 or something. And like,
yeah, me too. My group chat with my friends back home, it was all about Jill since minute one, and then every day. And to be honest, I wasn't watching it like religiously. I'd catch it a couple of times here and there, but I was getting all the updates from the group chat. And it's funny because that's what Jill's like in real life. There's like no pretenses going on there. She is exactly like that in real life. Just really funny, smart, very witty person. Really good company.
I thought it was such a, like, I actually, to be honest, I'm a Celebrity is not one of my favorite shows in the world, so I don't really pay that much attention to it most years. Paid a little bit more attention to it this year because she was on it. And I think it was just, again, it was really nice seeing that side of her, the kind of like goofy, chatty, but also very articulate on certain things, very open to talking about different things, and kind of the side that I saw a bit during the Euros, just with being in like press conferences or even after like the final whistle went. And I think in my head I was like, it's weird because you would never see a men's footballer like within a couple of months of them retiring being on a show like that, but in some ways it probably served her well in the long term because people got to see that side of her, and anyone who wasn't interested in football, it's suddenly like, oh, I know exactly who Jill Scott is.
Yeah, and again, just talking about women's football, just getting people talking about it. And you know, we all know Alex Scott. She's been in plenty of reality TV shows and she's done so well from them. And now Jill, so it's just another person that everybody is talking about. What I do love about Jill is she's a messer. Like, I can't ever say I've heard her speaking seriously about anything apart from in the program I'm a Celebrity, being quite honest. There's a couple of times I was like, oh, she can be quite serious, but usually she's not. She's such a jokey person. Really funny, probably one of the funniest people I know, to be honest.
And she did actually, she won it quite overwhelmingly as well. I mean, like, she was tipped. I wasn't sure if it was just the certain people that I follow on social media that was very much going all out for her to be tipped to be winning it. But like in the first round of the final, she claimed 47.3% of the vote, and the next nearest one was Owen Warner, who got 31%. And then obviously she won the final vote by 57.7%, which is a very impressive bit to get. And I don't think you could fully put that on just her being part of the Euros team that won, because I think a lot of people who watched I'm a Celeb
doesn't work like that. No.
No.
But I have to ask you, Emma, because you like this show, right? You watch it all the time, right?
Yeah, mostly. Yeah.
Did you not think it was a little bit boring this year? I mean, there were no scraps.
Yeah, there was nothing. Yeah, I
scraps
thought
in
when
there.
Matt Hancock came in that it was all going to kick off then, but they all kind of were very grown up, asked them some questions, and then we're like, yeah, okay, we'll leave it there.
Yeah,
Like,
I found that a bit weird.
we'll all be a great team and stuff.
I'm sure he was thrown in there to be a little bit controversial, and it just didn't happen. I was like, a little bit disappointed with that reaction. But yeah, I just thought it was a little bit boring. The ones I saw anyway. And also they were really good at the trials. Well, apart from Bubba, I thought he was brilliant because he couldn't do any of them. But yeah, I thought it was, I don't know, it was quiet. It was too quiet for me.
Yeah, it was. But that's the thing with the trials as well. I thought Jill was brilliant from day one. Like, she was like a captain on the field, kind of egging the other two on. And even when Baba couldn't walk the plank, basically, she was like, it's all right, it's grand. And she was straight out there. She's like, I wouldn't have done that. My mate hanging. She was like, boom.
Like, wouldn't have done that one. No chance.
It's funny though that you describe her being like a captain or something on the pitch, because she very much had that like sport attitude whenever she was doing any of the trials, or at least the ones I saw. Even just the way she was talking to everyone, it was a team mentality. It wasn't I'm going out here to do this by myself and screw the rest of you. The other big piece of social history that we had was the Irish women's team appearing on the Late Toy Show. Now, it was my birthday on Friday night, so I actually haven't watched this yet. I have only seen the clips, and I'm preparing myself for a cozy evening and someday in the next week to actually watch it. But the clips just made me so emotional. I thought it was the sweetest thing in the world. For anyone who hasn't seen it, like 6 or 7 players came out and surprised a little girl who's obsessed with the team with a trip to Australia to go see them play in the World Cup next summer. So Emma Carroll,
I would have been bawling if they'd have done that for me. Like,
I was gonna say, like, ask you both if you were like, I don't know what age the little girl was, like kind of early teens maybe.
Yeah. Oh, it was brilliant, wasn't it? Like,
what would,
because Caoimhín Kelleher came out. Caoimhín Kelleher came out earlier in the night and surprised a little boy with a trip to Anfield, and I was like, I'd love that. That's brilliant. And then the team came out and like get a trip to Australia. Like, what a prize! Like, oh my god! And just like,
if you had an option,
couldn't believe it.
The two, which would you go? I feel like I know the answer of this already, but like Caoimhín Kelleher giving you tickets to Anfield, or 6 players from the women's team bringing you out.
It's no contest, isn't it? You're going to Australia all day.
All day, every day. No, but to be honest, it was just great to see them on the TV. Like, I haven't seen them on the TV since they qualified for the World Cup. Like, what's going on? They should be all over our screens. And I know there was a bit of controversial problems going on there because of whatever we're not going to mention again. But they still should have been on TV, being exposed, being, promoted. And I think it's a real shame that we're only seeing them now. But still, it was great. It was lovely to see. I loved it. And it was a surprise for me because I wasn't expecting it. So I'm sitting there in my pajamas on my own with my cup of tea, seeing what toys I might get for myself. And then they popped out. It was really cool. It's very nice.
Yeah, no, as you say, it is just nice seeing them on the television again. And I suppose, again, a bit like the Jill Scott thing, showing a wider audience the importance of this team, and like also what it is doing to like little kids who are obsessed with football. Emma, did Vicky watch the toy show with you, and did you have to explain to her the ins and outs of it all?
No, I didn't. You know what? I was lucky because I was in Barcelona and she was in Manchester, so I was really lucky. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been on the TV, being honest. So I was all on my own, and I was watching it on my own, which was absolutely perfect. I was in my element. I had all my biscuits and chocolates, which also wouldn't have been out on the table. So I was really being sneaky that night. No, on my own watching it, but it's really cute. All the photos coming in from all the nieces and nephews, all in the same pajamas and all.
Yeah,
and I didn't even have my dogs to dress them in the same pajamas, so it was a bit sad, actually.
Well, I expect for next year's toy show on the show, I want you to debut the pictures of your dogs with like their matching pajamas.
Deal.
Hopefully at that stage it's matching Ireland pajamas because we've done something amazing in the World Cup and we're all still celebrating it come Christmas.
We might be still in Australia. They mightn't get us back.
Listen, with the time difference
Exactly.
during the World Cup, you might be in the pajamas anyway. So,
To be quite honest, if I don't have to go out, which I don't because I work from home, I'm always in pajamas. I'd like to tell you I have pajama bottoms on right now.
It's always good to know that we're a very professional crew of this, and I've definitely never recorded COYGIG with pajama bottoms on ever at all. Well, obviously there wasn't any WSL action this weekend, so instead of our normal team of the week, we are going to do a bit of a team of the season so far because we are coming towards the end. But before that, the COYGIG Pod and OTB Sports, in association with Cadbury FC, official snack partner to the Republic of Ireland women's national team. We are still running our competition to give away lovely money for lovely equipment for your local grassroots adults club. And thanks to our partners at Cadbury, we're still supporting women's grassroots football, and those are coming. The money is coming from the net profits from our most recent Cadbury Roadshow in Vicar Street. For your club to be in with a chance to win, contact us with your club details and contact information at the COYGIGPod@offtheball.com. Terms and conditions apply. Head over to otbsports.com for more. Coming up next, we will have our WSL team of the season so far. So Emma, we challenged you this week. Normally we leave a couple of weeks later, but we decided why not go for one now since we had a bit of a break with the Conti Cup action from the WSL. And you pulled together your team of the season so far. This is something we generally do anyways on COYGIG, just halfway through to see who are our top performers. And I have to say there weren't a lot of unfamiliar names on this team of the week when it came through. I recognized a lot of them. I feel like this year in particular, there have been some, in a lot of positions, there have been some particularly high performers. So do you want to run through your team and then myself and the other Emma can give you a few thoughts?
Yeah, Mary Earps in goal, Ashley Neville, Steph Catley, Maya Letizier, and Ona Barrier. Emma can fix my pronunciation on that one. Manham, Wrighton, and James. Bagier, thank you. Manham, Wrighton, and James in the midfield, and Hemp, Daly, and Shaw up front.
I looked back on some of our like past WSL teams of the week, and like you could pretty much track the trend in certain positions where, you know, you're like, so you're Lauren James, your buddy Shaw, Manham, and goalkeeper was actually one of the few positions that changed quite a lot, but that was between three different people. It was like Earps, Zinsberger, and Katrinberger. So I think it's fair to say there hasn't really been a massive outlier of players that have been impressive this season based on our teams. Is that unfair to say? We've kept it pretty strict, I'd say like 20 to 25 over the last 8 weeks.
I just want to say, Emma, I'm so happy you're back this week. It's so difficult because you know what? I tried to, last week I was doing, as you know, and I was trying to put other players in, like, you know, from the lower in the league positions, because there has to be players in there, and I feel a bit bad for them. But at the end of the day, you're picking the best team, so they are coming from the best teams. Yeah. It's going to be the Chelseas, the Uniteds. I did try a little bit, but it was difficult.
This is where you need a bit of like Liverpool or Irish bias just to carry you.
Yeah, go throw somebody Irish.
That's not even carrying me through this season yet, so it's not good. Like,
well, that is one of the things I noticed. I was like, there wasn't even a sneaky Katie McNamee in there, and that's when you know. That's when you know it must be high up.
Yeah,
she's on the bench.
I tried, but couldn't. She's definitely on the bench, but like Ashley Neville has just been so good, and Wrighton has been really good as well, and Katie has been playing more at left back as well with Catley to the centre, so I just couldn't find a space for her. It's tough.
No, it's a quality team, isn't it? I think the only thing is I would have put Kim Little in there because I know she's been injured the last few weeks, but she's still so quality. And then maybe I would have put Jess Park in instead of Wrighton, although I know why you picked Wrighton, but I just think Jess has been doing so well. And considering that she's on loan, so in other words, her initial club, as in Manchester City, obviously didn't have room for her in their team, which I think is nuts because she's absolutely quality. So maybe just kind of stick her in there. But it's really difficult. But I love the back line, yeah. And I agree, Katie's, for me, one of the best players in the world, but higher up the pitch. And I would love to see her playing higher up the pitch. James, Daly, Hemp, spot on.
And isn't it kind of interesting that when we're looking, say even that front three, like I don't disagree with anyone that's in there, but that we don't have more of the like superstars, as we would call them, like your Kerrs, your Harders. I know she's injured now, or like even Miedema or someone. It feels like this year, while these positions are very set about who we think are the best, it's quite different to what it's been in previous years.
Yeah. We probably would have had like Kerr, Miedema, Mead. Yeah.
I look at this team and it is the players that are in form, right? That's what it's all about. Because it's easy to put Sam Kerr in there, but if I wanted a centre forward that can play football, can drop in like the all round centre forward, it's got to be Daly in there now. To be quite honest, I mean, she's absolutely killing it, isn't she? Just scoring every game in the air, on the ground. She's helping out defensively. She's quality. And I'm not saying Kerr doesn't do that, but Kerr's, for me, just her main thing is that ball in behind. She's class at running into channels and stuff like that. But the all round, I think it would be Daly too.
Yeah, brilliant signing for Aston Villa, because they needed it. They struggled there last season and they like nailed it with that signing, really. Like,
but she can't play left back for England. They
Mm.
can't put her left back for England now, surely. Surely they can't. Although I'm not sure who they would get, because now when Alex Greenwood was getting dropped for City. And speaking of players being dropped, we need to, I'm on it with the Irish players. They need to be playing. I'm watching week in, week out to make sure they're on that team list. It's so important for us.
Yeah.
Emma, when you were doing the goalkeeper, I'm curious as to what was your actual reasoning for Earps over Berger, Zinsberger, because they have, all three of them have been quite close, I think. Emma Byrne will probably tell me something very technical reason why they weren't actually, and why you've made the right choice. But just curious, as they have, like, the three of them have been coming up week in, week out, pretty much neck and neck for that position.
Well, first of all, she has 5 clean sheets, so I think she's the goalkeeper with the most clean sheets in the league at the moment. But she's just brilliant, and I just love watching her communicate with the defense as well. And I just think she's in form. Her confidence is flying since the Euros, especially. And she has an aura about her at the moment.
She's the busiest as well. Like, if you think about it, I mean, for me, Berger is class. I love her. I've always loved her. Technically, she's the best goalkeeper by a long shot, by the way. But the fact is, she's not as needed as Earps is for United. And Earps has made some incredible saves and been quite busy with United. So she's actually been more influential. So I agree with that as well with you, Emma. I agree with all of yours. All of them.
I'll take it.
Well done. Welcome back.
And so this is a question I ask most weeks, but I do think it always is quite telling. If you were to pick out a standout player of the season so far, and it can be someone that, you know, we've talked about before, it can be someone that you just didn't expect to have such a good season thus far and has really surprised you and put in the work, who would it be?
That is a tough question, because especially earlier in the season, Ashley Neville was amazing, and then they moved her position and she's just not having the same impact for me. I think she's a fullback and should be a fullback, like player in her best position. Bunny Shaw's been brilliant as well, but for me, the most exciting person to watch at the moment is Lauren James. I just love watching her play at the moment.
Yeah, and even when they step up to that other level in Champions League, she still looks head and shoulders above everyone else. And that's when you know, isn't it, when you're playing against the top teams, if they still have that standout quality, and she does, she's just quality.
I think I'd actually
family.
I think I might put Manham in just to throw a different name in there, because I think I'm not someone that anyone at Arsenal expected to, or anyone that watched the league expected to unseat Miedema in the way that she has, and to actually properly challenge for that position and kind of earn her stripes very much. I mean, it'd be interesting to see now that Miedema's back after her break, if that will make any of difference in terms of her playing. But yeah, she's one that I kind of felt like Lauren James was always going to come good. I didn't know when, but I thought it would happen. Whereas someone like Manham, I didn't expect this play from her so far this year.
Yeah.
And long may it continue, I say. Well, Emma, thank you very much once again for your team of the season so far. I look forward to reviewing it with you when we get to the end of the season and we can see how many of these players have actually managed to do it across a full season, because it's great being good for the first half, but making it all the way to the end is kind of the thing that matters the most for these sort of things.
It is.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So there was no WSL action this weekend, and instead we had a little bit of the Conti Cup going on. Although, Emma, if you did actually want to watch the Conti Cup, or if you just wanted to watch women's football, it was incredibly difficult.
Yeah. I mean, it's a shame, isn't it? If there aren't any league games on, it should be the same coverage, right, for the Conti Cup. And for me, it's a little bit of an insult for the teams, like the lower teams coming and playing the big teams, because this is their chance to get a bit of coverage, right? So it's a shame. And, even for us, like, it's so easy to do the WSL roundup because you can just access all the games, and if you've missed one, you can go back in it. Well, today I was like, I was going crazy. I was like, you can't even get, I think they've got 2 games up on the player. I watched 2 games anyway. It's the same 2 games they have up there. So I was like, right, a few highlights.
Well, even like I was listening to a couple of podcasts and they were talking about the goals that were scored over the weekend. But most of the podcasts were like, the only reason we actually know these goals were scored or we got a chance to see them is because some fan put up some grainy footage on Twitter or wherever it was. And that way we were able to see it. And I don't know what you feel about like the Conti Cup as a tournament, because I feel like it always gets to like the final or maybe like the semi-finals and people start paying attention and you're like, oh, how did City and Chelsea or like City and Arsenal or whoever it is get here? Because it very rarely is there that much of a surprise in who gets to the end of it. And I feel like they need to do something to make this a sexy tournament that people want to pay attention to, because there are some great matches and there are some really interesting matchups, especially as you say with the lower league teams who aren't in the WSL, and in some ways gives you a great insight if you're not a regular championship watcher into who the teams that might come up, who like look at Liverpool last year, whoever it might be. It gives you as insight into what's happening in those lower leagues, but it's just like it just gets lost in amongst everything else.
It does. And do you know what? It's always been like that. It's always been like that. The League Cup's always been like that. It's a chance for managers to play the squad players, give them minutes. And I think that's kind of an indication that, not that they don't take it seriously, they do take it seriously, but it's not as important as the FA Cup or the league. And that is the truth of it. And the same teams always get to the end, whether it's Man City, Chelsea, blah, 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 because they have the better squads, and it's as simple as that. But if I were a Durham or a Sunderland, this would be my opportunity to go and show them that we can compete at that level. The problem is the gap. There is a big gap between the 2 leagues. And yes, they can pull off some great results like Durham, Man United, for example. But you're talking about those teams, Durham, Sunderland are okay. Southampton, not really, like they're not there yet to compete. So that's why it's difficult to kind of support it as well, because there's a massive difference. But I think, as in television rights and just showing the games on TV, I don't see why not. And what I really don't like is when they record or show the games and there is no commentary. It's so strange for me to watch a game with no commentary.
Yeah, you're kind of, and especially because the camera angles are never great. So you're kind of like, it's not like zoom in exists or, replays or
there's
anything
no
like that.
replays. No.
You're left just kind of guessing and hope you've worked out what's happened and then checking if someone has actually put up some sort of report. Actually, to be fair, one thing I did notice was that a lot of the regional papers were quite good at doing match reports and stuff. So there is that there. It's just not really being replicated on a kind of mass media basis. But in terms of the football that did happen, do you have a particular point that you would like to start at? Was there anything that did stick out to you from the 2 games that you watched?
Well, I think Durham are an interesting team. I'm kind of following them a little bit lately because of the result against United. I actually played against them when I had my very, very brief spell at Brighton. We played against them in the Summer League and they were really good. Like, I was really surprised they didn't get promoted. So that's interesting for me because, and of course they've got our Irish girls there, so I always pay attention to that. Saoirse Noonan and McAloon, who's doing really well, by the way, the goalkeeper. So yeah, the Aston Villa Durham game, I was quite interested in that. Aston Villa won 1-0, but it was a really tough game for them. So that was quite interesting.
Was it the 75-minute that Rachel Daly scored on? It was quite late on.
Yeah, it was late on. It was the 75th minute, yeah. And it was just one of those goals. You could see that the Durham defence were tired, and it was a good goal. It was good communication between the Aston Villa players. But yeah, I thought I was quite impressed with them. Tottenham beat Coventry 5-1 or something like that.
Yeah.
And that for me was interesting because Coventry would have been one of the teams that were up there when I was playing. And I thought the club itself is a very good club and they've really good foundations there. But obviously they have a little bit to go. And apart from that, I mean, we had the Reading Liverpool game, the league game on last week, but I was watching Reading again. They're struggling. They're really struggling. I mean, they need something. They need a change in there. They won, but they definitely need a change in there, and it's quite sad to see because again, that club used to be really high up there. I mean, they beat Southampton 3-0, so there weren't any problems there. Again, with players that don't usually play, bringing in the players from the squad. But yeah, apart from that, the Irish girls, Birmingham City, unfortunately, they lost 2-0 to West Ham. Unfortunately, Jamie Finn gave away a penalty, so not good for the Irish girls there. Didn't really watch any of the games, caught up a few highlights here and there. In general, it was quiet. It was a quiet week, really.
It was a quiet week, and like I think, well, one of the things I picked up for some of the games is interesting, like say Reading beating Southampton 3-0, like in terms of where Southampton are in the championship table.
Yeah.
Like I thought that was an interesting comparison just because Reading are in that drop zone and Southampton are also in that zone where they might go up. So they're London City are first on 20, Bristol are second on 19 but have a game in hand, and then Southampton are third on 18. So just seeing how they played against each other and what the matchup was like there was interesting, although I feel like teams do have that different mental attitude when it comes to the Conti Cup. The fact that Liverpool are on a complete winning run so far, I mean, they have a relatively easy group ish, like they have City but they haven't actually played them yet, so they have 3 wins from 3 with Leicester, Sunderland and Blackburn, the other ones there. It was actually,
but again, Liverpool only beaten Blackburn 1-0. Very tight.
It is a tight game, yeah. But it's more just I don't know, I feel like we keep talking about Liverpool as if they need to get their like mentality straight somewhere, and they also need someone to come in and be I suppose what Leanne Kiernan did for them last year, and they haven't really filled that.
But you know what? I honestly think Liverpool are in a better place than Reading at the moment. And just watching that game last week, I mean, I said it last week as well about Rachel Furness. I think she's playing brilliant, and I really like her as a player. She's so commanding in midfield. But just watching them play Reading last week, they were just better all over the pitch. They looked like they had a game plan. You know, I'd say they were disappointed they didn't come away with a win, to be quite honest. So I'm not worried about them. And the fact that Amanda Sandon's coming back in from an injury.
That's massive for them.
He's a massive player for them. I think they're going to be just fine.
No, I agree.
It's Reading I'm worried about, to be quite
I feel
honest.
like if Liverpool could get someone on loan in January or else, I don't see them dropping at the moment. I don't think they're going to be that team, and signing someone as either like backup to Leanne Kiernan or someone who can kind of produce similar to what she did for them last year in the championship, then that's like one of their areas. Because a lot of time they have a lot of chances, they just can't get them in the net for whatever reason.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'd love to see them sign a box-to-box midfielder that, you know, just a complete workhorse, and that pushes Van de Sanden higher up and pushes Melissa Lawley higher up, so they don't have to drop back into midfield so much. So just strengthen up that midfield so they can keep their forward players higher. Well, I think they're looking quite good actually, and you know, it's great to see. Well, I'd like to see Megan Campbell get more minutes. She played in the Continental Cup, but yeah, I mean, Neve's in there doing great. Yeah, just I think a midfielder would be great for them. I think that's where they're lacking.
And just to do like a quick run through some of the Champions League results that there were last week as well, because there were some really interesting ones. We had Juventus 1, Arsenal 1, Barca 3-0 against Bayern. You were saying that you were at that one, I think?
Yes, I was working on that one, and they're incredible. I mean, I'm not usually in awe of teams that much, but I just can't help being in awe of Barca Femení. Like, they're just incredible, because Bayern came out, who are a strong team, and they pressed high, and they were doing really, really well. Bayern, I was like quite impressed with Bayern. And it's funny because I never talk about Barca if another team's doing well, even though they could be under the cosh, because I'm just so happy someone's giving them a game, to be quite honest. And Bayern came out and they did really well. You know, they've got Georgia Stanway, so you know they've decent players. And Barca they decided they wanted to score. I feel like, okay, we're sick of this. We're going to score, okay, and then we're going to score another 2. They just decide. And if Aitana Bonmati is on form, forget about it. Like, just forget.
She was on form for this game. Like, her goal
was incredible. She really was. But it's funny because they played against Atletico Madrid on Sunday, which was yesterday, and Aitana wasn't in the game at all. And then Mariona Caldente came on the pitch and just absolutely ran amok. I'm like, okay, so if it's not Aitana, if you're playing against Barca, you have to mark Aitana. You have to mark her out of it. Then you've got Patrick Guijarro. Okay, not a huge problem as far as I'm concerned. But if they bring on Mariona, like, forget about it. It's impossible.
It's like you work out how to get rid of one player off the pitch, and then you realize that there's like 5 others that you need to contend with, or there's 5 others that can come off the bench and just like completely change up the tactical system.
Like, you can sit deep, play with the 5 across the back, then they'll just pop it around you. You can press high, which if it works, it's very, very good. Atletico did it as well, and they did it really well. But as soon as they decide to break that press, they're taking 4 or 5 players out. Like, it's just, and they play it over the top. They can bring Asisat Oshuala on the pitch, fastest player in the world, and just play it over the top. They've got everything. So yeah, I mean, for the Champions League as well, their players are coming back. I don't know when Alexia Putellas is back, but she would be back for the final.
Yeah.
If they get to the final, when they get to the final.
When was that? That was like July that she was first injured. It's probably going to be minimum another 4-ish months.
Yeah, I mean, they'll be safe with her. She'll be
especially
back
with the World Cup coming up.
The World Cup, I was going to say, which
although
by the way, I did put it out there on Spanish TV because we were talking about these players that weren't going to the national team. There's 12 players, blah blah blah, and I was like, do you know what? If they have any Irish grannies or granddads or any Irish, like, ever, tell them to contact the FAI. We'll have them.
Yeah, we'll get the Vera Powell's number straight away. There's absolutely no problem. Alexia Putellas, if you want to come play for Ireland, you are more than welcome.
Very welcome. They can stay in my Mascaf if they want. Like, she'll cook for them, no problem.
We'll organize everything. All you have to do is come and play some football. We will sew the green jerseys ourselves. Yeah, no, I saw a few people talking about, 'cause obviously Barcelona beating Bayern 3-0 isn't really the result that they have it in them, but I suppose I kind of expected Bayern to put up a little bit more of a fight and for it to be a bit more attritional. But as you say, it was just like Barcelona just got a bit bored and they just turned the
It's
screw and they were
impossible
like,
because Bayern did really well the first half, and I was like, yes, it's going to be a game. Cannot wait for this. And they just can't keep it up for the 90 minutes. And you can see them, they're becoming lethargic, they're switching off. And that's when they're like the Barca animals. They smell the weakness and they just go into another gear. And I nearly feel sorry. I do feel sorry for the teams that play against them, being honest.
Yeah, well, I've only ever seen them live play against Arsenal in the Champions League, and it was feeling sorry is a very good way of putting it, because that was exactly how I felt watching it all.
You can't sit back. What Arsenal did, they sat back too much, unfortunately.
They just invited it on. And obviously they won 1 against Juventus with old manager Joe Montemurro, which is I mean, everyone always said in this group that Juventus are not the easiest team to come up against and very easily could be a slippy banana, which they proved to be a tiny bit for Arsenal, albeit the end of a tough enough couple of weeks or couple of days for them. But yeah, there are more fixtures, I think, in the middle of December for the Champions League. So we will update you all on those when they come. But for now, that is it from myself and Emma for another week. We will hopefully be back with our full cohort next week, although absolutely no promises.
We don't want her back. Stay in Barbados, Carol. We don't want you.
Yeah, she's too busy having a great time while we're here slogging away.
Yeah, and stop sending us pictures of bottles of beer and sand and gorgeous water. We don't want to see it.
It always ends up coming through as well when it's like lashing rain outside and you're like cold and you're just like
thickening.
Karen. And it's not like she works hard the rest of the year and totally doesn't deserve it at all. But yeah, we will be back with our full cohort next week, and we will bring you all the latest action and chat from the world of women's football. As we have proven by today, we have now gone on to general cultural issues when it comes to women's football and just talking about what's on the TV. So you never know what you'll get with the next episode of COYGIG. But thank you all for listening, and we will see you next week.
The COYGIG Pod on OTB Sports, in association with Cadbury. A player and a half deserves a glass and a half of support.